Good afternoon, everyone. So great to welcome you to day number 1536. Is that possible? Of the daily Antidote of Song from Carpe Diem Arts. My name is David Roth. I'm honored to be your host today on this commemoration, this acknowledgement of Juneteenth. And let's start saying hi to folks. I've got JoJo taking a little peek over my shoulder in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Bryn doing tech for us. Thank you, Bryn. I've got Susan in Cincinnati, my friend. Deborah in Kentucky. Yup. Luda in Victoria, British Columbia. Hello, Luda. Hello, Kathleen in Albuquerque. Good afternoon, Carolyn in Boise. And Sarah in Texas. Thomas Boyd, my friend Tom, New York City. Hi, Tom. Caroline in DC. Hi, Caroline. Linda, another friend in Orcas Island. Sue in Seattle. I'm so happy to have seen some of you in person the last couple of years. Athena in Brooklyn. Welcome, Athena. Bonnie in Boise. Emily Glazer, welcome to you. Hello, Storm, my friend in Western Massachusetts. There's someone LMG in Connecticut, not showing the camera yet. Please turn your camera on if you're so inclined. And then we have Delhi in Maryland. Hi, Delhi. Hello, Sarah Hardigan, my friend. Annette in California. Welcome. And Diane in Massachusetts. I'm coming to you from Cape Cod today. Amanda and Miles in Michigan. The Mitten. Hi, guys. Ian Blackwell in Devon. Benet in Berkeley, California. Ruth in Birmingham, United Kingdom. Jane in Maryland. Hi, Jane. Hello, Bob in Albany. Coming to the eighth step. Maureen in Edmonton, Canada. Sarah in Devon, England. Welcome to our friends across the pond. Fred. Hi, Fred in Silver Spring. Hello, Anne in Silver Spring. Jamie Dundee. Welcome from Victoria. Karen in Oregon. I hope I said that right. Hello, Robin. Nice to have you with us today. Antonina in California. How are you, dear? Kat Cox in Vermont. Carol J. in Connecticut. Jane in Texas. Gary. Hi, Gary in Massachusetts. Let's see. We got Ann in Nashville. Well represented today all across the country and a few other countries. Dan Walker in Vienna. Welcome, Dan. And there's Jane in Texas again. Julie. That's all I got for now. If I missed you, I apologize. But I want to get right to the music. We're very honored to have the transcendent Elise Bryant with us today. So, Elise, a very good afternoon to you on this observation of Juneteenth. And welcome to the Daily Antidote of Song, where I'm sure you've appeared many, many times.
Thank you, David. Yeah, this is family here, definitely. So I'm really glad to be back, especially on this day, in recognition of the freedom of the enslaved ancestors.
Right. Now, we were talking just before we went on the air about this holiday or this whole idea of celebration. It seemed kind of odd to me. This is very serious, and we spoke about reparations too. So, before we launch into your song, any comments about this holiday that we now find, thanks to Joe Biden signing it into law in 2021?
Yeah, well, even the word holiday really comes from holy day, right? And so holy day became this holiday thing, which gets associated with candy canes and, marshmallow eggs and all kinds of stuff that have nothing to do with the purpose of it or the recognition of it. So I'm giving thanks this day to the ancestors who stepped off the slave ships, kissed the ground, and willed us to be here, who dreamed of this in honor of them. So glad.
I was watching you sing Solidarity Forever on the internet just before we came on today. Very moving. Such a lovely voice. So what have you got for us today? What have you got?
It's called Juneteenth. Amazingly enough, and I know the DC Labor Corps members and family who come to our concerts have heard this song. It's from a labor jazz opera called Love Songs from the Liberation War, which was written by Steve Jones, the music director and one of the founding members of the DC Labor Corps, along with me. And so this is a song he wrote in this show that is about the it's about the tobacco workers strike in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina in 1943. So in recognition of that, which I think it was on June 19th in that time period. Anyway, so it goes like this. This is the chorus. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. So I think it's in the chat, right? Okay, so I'm going to do the chorus. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. Y'all got it? Okay, I'm gonna officially start the song now. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. June 19th, 1865, the news hit Galveston. 'Cause Texas was the farthest of the rebel states. They finally learned slavery's over and done. Some hit the road to find family who'd been sold away. Some stayed to build a new life. But at the moment slavery turned to freedom, they celebrated day and night. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. The tobacco and the cotton empires were built by people who were never paid, never compensated for their labor. That's how so much of this country was made. But an arc of justice through the ages brings a spirit of hope. Liberation is contagious. A rising tide lifts every boat. And now it's June 17th, 1943. Something's gonna happen soon. We remember, we celebrate the time. People walked out and left the slaves behind, chains behind, chains behind. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. Yay! Thank you, family. I see y'all out there. Sorry about that. Hey, family, I see y'all out there singing. Ooh, yeah, it feels good.
Wow, that's amazing. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, the power of an a cappella song. Just simply singing and such powerful words. And the irony is not lost on me with this happening in Galveston in 1865 and what's happening in Texas now, with so much crazy politics, in my opinion. It's like I've been talking on the Daily Antidote and in my concerts about the fact that Pete Seeger co-wrote If I Had a Hammer in 1949, meaning this is the 75th anniversary of a song like that. 75 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Pete would be proud of a song like that, but he would say, why do we still need to sing that, all these years later? Can't we move on? But apparently not, because there's no end in sight. So this song, is this song in your singing something you could do year round, or do you kind of pull this out just for today's commemoration? Because
no, we sing it all the time.
All the time. And I want to ask you about the DC Labor Chorus because it relates to the Daily Antidote of Song. You're one of the co-founders of the DC Labor Chorus, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you start that? I could ask Joe the same thing about how she started this, but how did the seed for that start where you organize people to come together and sing these kind of songs?
It started at the Great Labor Arts Exchange.
What year are we talking about?
Oh, well, the first year I went was 1984. And at that event, Reverend James Orange was leading us in song from the Memphis Sanitation Worker Strike and SNCC and all that. And Reverend Orange, and I were the only two Black people in the room. The rest of the group was all white. And when I walked in, I was like, whoa, where am I? But I had agreed to come to this event because Saul Schneiderman, one of the founders of the Labor Heritage Foundation, invited me. So Reverend Orange was leading us in civil rights songs, and everybody was singing 4-part harmony. And as we sang together, I felt my heart lift, and I realized it didn't matter about the color. Joy and collective effervescence and singing for rights and for justice is absolutely essential to the feelings of liberation. And I felt like I found my second family. I found another family. So when I got a job at the National Labor College and moved here in 1997, I'm a theater person. That's my first love. I don't consider myself a singer. Yes, theater is my first love. But singing is a part of it because I grew up in the church in the African American community and singing, and it was Motown, it was like singing was just a part of life. It wasn't something separate. But I didn't know any theater people in DC, but I knew some singers from the Arts Exchange. I knew Peter and Steve Jones. I knew Lucy Murphy. Of course, Saul Schneiderman had a group. Joe Glazer, Joe Uline. And Joe Glazer is one of the founding fathers of the Labor Heritage Foundation. So I said, well, let's start a chorus. And so I called up Steve and all the family, Jones and Joe Uline, Saul Schneiderman, Laurel Blades, Lucy Murphy, and said, let's start a labor chorus. Because I met the New York Labor Chorus and I met the San Francisco Labor Chorus at the Arts Exchange. And I said, hey, DC should have a labor chorus. February 18th, 1998, February 18th, 1998 was our first rehearsal.
And so in that rehearsal, how many people showed up? I'm just curious.
About 6, 7, yeah.
And then it grew
Usual
to
suspects.
What kind of size did it grow to over the years?
Well, now we're about 30. And the average is about 30, between 25 and 30. People come, people go. But in the recent years, we've been attracting next generation singers. So it's not just all of us baby boomers, seasoned warriors. And the next generation, we had a retreat recently, and we asked the next generationers. I call them next generationers because they're not young people. I mean, they're 30, 40 years old. But I call them next generation because I'm into Star Trek. So we asked them, why did they join? And they said, because we love this music. And this is what we want to do. And one of them, one of our members, Anita, asked me out for lunch, and I thought she was going to say she was quitting the chorus. And she said, I just want you to know that I want to do what you do. I want to lead people in song. Because that's the work we want to carry on. I was like, yes, my experiment is working. I will pass the baton gladly. And know that there's another generation coming up who are honoring the songs that we learned from the past, but also creating new songs. And that's important. That's equally as important that we're also creating new songs. You know that, David. You do that.
Well, so, is there a ballpark figure you could give me about how many appearances the DC Labor Chorus might do in a given year? I'm curious, and it leads to my next question.
2 to 3 a month.
2 to 3 a month. Yeah. Kind of mid-Atlantic, or do you get to travel a little bit, or how?
No, we're mid-Atlantic. Basically DMV. Yeah.
So there's my bigger question, and it's one that could be asked every day on something like the Daily Antidote of Song. How does this music move the needle? The world seems like it's getting more catastrophic by the day, and everything that we hear from the noisy talking heads, and this is something else I've said, I don't think volume equals consensus. I think there's a lot more good-hearted, loving people in the world than the ones who are yelling at us through our TVs and our social media and all that. So how do you feel your work and the DC Labor Chorus and other things that you do, how does it move the needle so that we're not just preaching to the choir all the time? I'm looking for answers to this myself. Yes, I understand. We are often literally preaching to the choir. But here's the thing, is that we have to go out and do the work. It's not just about singing. It's going out and knocking on doors for the upcoming election. It's about marching in front of the Supreme Court for reproductive justice. It's about sharing and teaching the next generation. And more importantly, or at least to me, I am the one talking. So yeah, it's maintaining
our mental and spiritual and physical health and well-being so that we can carry on this work and do it. And singing does that. And the thing that singing does that no other human activity does, I mean, you can go out there and exercise on an exercise bike. You can, run down the road. You can lift weights. You can do steps or stairs or Pilates or yoga or anything else, except for yoga. Because singing is the one thing that happens when we sing together, we breathe together. When we breathe together, our hearts synchronize as one. And the brain is activated in both hemispheres, not just the one place where speech is, but in the whole hemisphere of the brain, which is how Gabby Gifford learned to talk again. So when we sing together, we literally are lifting our hearts and minds together so that we can go out there and do that work. That's why the civil rights workers sang. That's why when Bernice Johnson Reagan those were held up in a house where the Ku Klux was ringing around, they started singing, "Ain't gonna let nobody turn us around, turn us around, turn us around." And that's the passing on of the ancestors. I mean, people can sing back in the day. The ancestors sing just to like perform and be seen. They sang because that was part of life. So you sang when you work. You sang when you worship. You sang just sitting there watching the clouds go by. And instead of thinking singing is this performance thing, that singing is part of our health and well-being, the maintenance of our mind, body, and spirit.
That's brilliant. I feel like I got a life preserver thrown to me when I walked into the third grade chorus room
Yes.
back in elementary school.
Yes.
My family was having their issues, and here was a place where we didn't bring our stories in. We just simply met to sing, on common ground with one another. And I went SATB all the way through college, and I
Yes.
continue to
Yes.
sing today. And
Yes.
being part of a choir is something that I absolutely love myself. So this is very exciting and awesome. So, yeah. I'm just in awe, of the beauty of music, and I don't overstate it when I say that it saved my life. And I wonder if you would take us through this song again, and anything else that there's more to talk about here, besides the obvious.
Okay, so we going back to the song now?
I think,
Okay, all
what
right.
you got something coming up that you want to highlight, or anything that you're involved with that's coming up in the horizon that we could know about?
Well, those who are fans and members of the DC Labor Corps know that each year in December, we have our evening of favorite and sacred song, which is a concert where each course member gets to bring a song that's close to their heart from whatever genre. It can be a religious song, it can be a Broadway musical song, it can be a rhythm and blues song, it can be a folk song, but as long as it's something that moves you. So we do that every year. In December, it'll be that first week in December. And coming up next is today we're going to be at Tacoma Park at 2:15, singing at the Tacoma Park Juneteenth celebration. And this evening I'll be in DC at the African American Civil War Museum for the Juneteenth celebration. And I'll be in Detroit on Saturday doing Queen of the Night, my autobiographical play about growing up in Detroit. And Dave, you're not gonna believe this, but it has 23 songs in it.
Oh, I could believe that.
It's not a musical. It's not a musical.
And it's probably not enough songs to cover all the information, I would imagine.
Well,
One
I
woman
never
show.
thought about it to a friend of mine. He said, "How many songs you got in this?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
So you're playing this in Detroit. You doing more than one performance, or is it kind of a little?
No, this is just kind of I'm testing out the play and reading it to see how it works. My original vision was it was going to be a multi-cast play, but every time I read it, the audience goes, "No, it's just you. It's, nobody else." So we're going to try that out, and then we're going to look at doing a full production in Southwest Detroit, where I grew up, and a theater company founded by a former member of Workers' Lives, Workers' Stories, a labor theater troupe that I directed in Ann Arbor for 17 years.
This leads me to a little detour, and I think we've got time for this. So I'm a sports fan. I've grown up, and that was another thing that kind of saved my sanity when I was a kid. So the Detroit Lions did really well last year. As an activist and a musician and a community member and someone who, is a leader in thoughts about progressive things, to my understanding, do we overinflate the value of sports when a city like Detroit has success, even though it has so many problems? Do we overvalue the integration of sports into our collective psyche? What
You
do you think?
know, that's a really good question, David, because I hadn't thought about that before. But I think I agree with you. I mean, somehow, well, I think sports and sports activity is a really wonderful thing. And being in the audience is one of those group things like singing, where everybody gets all cheered up. And we're screaming at the same time, yeah, yeah, yeah. But part of it is like I feel like a kind of like a distraction, and kind of like the gladiator fights.
Yeah.
Put those working class people out there and have them, you know, compete against each other. In football, it's really brutal, and
Hmm.
baseball is a little slower, but they still get injured as this distraction from the work that we have to do. But I, it's not the worst thing out there, because I think television rates up there way past sports. But the craziness of it, the amount of pay that they pay people, it's just nuts. And then they were paying women less professional than there were men. It's like, get the out of here, people. It just extends all of that oppression and discrimination and bias and bigotry is extended in us sports. And I just heard that Willie Mays died yesterday.
Yes, he
I didn't
did.
even know Willie Mays was still alive. I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm from Chicago and we've had highs and lows. It's all very cyclical. And yet there's something about a collective psyche that gets lifted up, for a brief moment. And yet some people go back to their minimum wage jobs the
Yep.
next day. Some people are still unemployment. Some people are still homeless. There's just a little tiny window where everybody goes, yeah, man. And never really made a lot of sense to me, but I fully bought into it because it just made me feel better, however briefly
It does.
yeah.
I agree.
Well, I want to propose that music has a much longer lasting effect than
Oh,
success in sports. And that I'm a proponent in the choirs I've been in. I don't really care how people sound as long as they feel great when they're singing.
I'm there.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the
Yeah.
Daily Antidote song. We have the mute button, and you can sing at the top of your lungs in the key of R sharp or B minus. And as long as it feels good to you, that's the important thing. It's not what the sound is, it's what the feeling is. And
Can
when
I
we get
can I
together,
quote you on that?
oh
R
yeah,
sharp or B minus?
sure, yeah. Or Z plus for that matter.
Some people really get into that. In our course, we've often had a difference of opinion about. There are some people want that exact note, that half step rest. That and I know that when I grew up, the whole blues note is the bending of that note, so you don't really quite hit it on. And it's okay because it's just the way things are. But I think that singing, regardless of if somebody said to me, if only the best birds sang in the forest, it'd be pretty quiet.
Oh
It's
dear.
important for all of us to sing and
Yeah,
sing.
yeah. So all of you on the Zoom today and going outward, just remember top of your lungs, the way that it feels best to you. That's my feeling about it anyway. So yeah, let's go back to that and see what it feels like to sing with you again.
Okay, take a deep breath. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. June 19th, 1865, the news hit Galveston. Because Texas was the farthest of the rebel states. They finally learned slavery's over and done. Some hit the road to find family who've been sold away. Some stayed to build a new life. But at the moment slavery turned to freedom, they celebrated day and night. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. The tobacco and the cotton empires were built by people who were never paid, never compensated for their labor. That's how so much of this country was made. But an arc of justice through the ages brings a spirit of hope. Liberation is contagious. A rising tide lifts every boat. And now it's June 17th, 1943. Something's gonna happen soon. We remember We celebrate the time. People walk out, left the chains behind, left the chains behind, left the chains behind. Juneteenth, the end of slavery. Juneteenth, a shining moment in history. So many found the courage somehow. Harriet Tubman, John Brown, stand with us now. Woo! Thank you, family. Thank you. Yay, Daily End, another song.
Well, thank you,
Sing it
Elise.
together.
That's amazing. I was looking a little bit on the internet before we did the Zoom today. What website could we point to specifically for more information about your one-person play and your activities going forward? I couldn't seem to find EliseBryant.com. Is there some website that's...
Oh, no. Oh, no, David, I'm not there yet.
Oh, you're way past there. You're way past there.
But I maybe I should think about that, huh? LaborHeritageFoundation.org.
Okay.
That's
LaborHeritageFoundation.org. And that will list your schedule and other things that you're doing, including your one person.
David, I'm not there yet. I'm not there at the schedule.
Okay.
I will get there. You're inspiring me, David, to think.
Well, I want to fly to Detroit this weekend, but can't do it.
Oh, too bad. But I can come out your way.
Anytime.
Let's talk to Jerry Levine and see what we can work out. I mean, Cape
Anything.
Cod. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting place here too, so for lots of different reasons and all kinds of crazy stuff going on here. Yeah. Well, how great. What else can we chat about in what few moments remain? Joe, I'm going to ask you to chime in. Have we overlooked anything? Is there anything else we might, while we have Elise here, it's such an opportunity.
Well, thanks so much, David, for asking me to jump in. And I kind of feel like, Elise, you're one of the most eloquent speakers. You come into this room and you talk so from your heart and from your sleeve about things. And so I guess I'd say in closing, do you want to say anything more about Juneteenth and the state of the world today and the importance of what we need to do? I feel like you give us a lot of motivation when you speak.
Yeah. It's a day, taking time in any quote holiday is a time to reflect and to think about where we are now and where we need to go and where we need to be, and to think about an action plan for what each of us can do on our own, in our own way, in our own level. I mean, if we see racism, call it out. If we see bigotry, call it out. If there's something that you can do, sign a petition, write a letter, write to an editor to your newspaper, to your news station, whatever we can do in whatever way that we can do it makes a difference. And it's the collective whole that really brings about change. It doesn't come from the top. It always comes from the grassroots, and that's us.
That's utterly great. Thank you so much, Elise.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. So
glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Carpe Diem Arts for this incredible platform of 1,536 days and no end in sight.
Every day.
Yeah. I'm hoping to come down to Maryland in December myself, Churchville, and a couple other places. So it's good to get out there in person, and you just are a beacon of light, in the musical community, and a leader of thoughtful people everywhere. May all the ships rise up by the water you add to the. Forget it. I had too much coffee today.
Oh, no. I'm here because someone stepped off a slave ship, kissed the ground, and willed me to be here. We're here because somebody dreamed of this day. That we collectively come together, not based on color, caste, or creed, but out of our heart and humanness of being people who love justice and will work for freedom.
No better words to close our version today. Joe, I think we have some events coming up that we want to point out. Thank you so much, Elise. And I'm going to read through my screen. But if you look at your screen, if you're a Mac user, you can take a screenshot here, my friends, by hitting Shift, Command, and 3. You can get a screenshot of these events coming up. Of course, today was June 19th. And that was the transcendent Elise Bryant. Tomorrow on the Daily Antidote of Song are Greg Greenway and Reggie Harris, two old friends of mine. Emphasis on the word many years and old, all three of us. That's tomorrow. And then Matt Callahan and Yvonne Moore on the 21st, coming to us from Switzerland, I believe. And then Irene Espiritu on the 22nd, and on June 23rd, Chick Street Man. If he's still in Seattle, I met Chick many years ago, and what a beautiful man. And some great hosts, too, including Sandy O, Kathy Bullock, Elise Witt, Fran Andre, Peter Amadon, and Joe herself. So that's the first thing. Daily Antidote of Song continues tomorrow. Next, there is an online event tomorrow night called Deeper Than the Skin. This is, again, Reggie and Greg doing their wonderful work. It's a conversation on race and growing up and their varied backgrounds. We're all about the same age, almost exactly. And Reggie and Greg have come up with an amazing program. If you haven't seen it, it is really well worth tuning in, unless you're on Cape Cod and are coming to the Full Moon Open Mic tomorrow night in Chatham, right here with me in our 18th year of collecting money for local nonprofits and getting together to network as artists and singers of all levels at the top of our lungs in no particular key. But otherwise, online tomorrow night with Reggie and Greg and special guest members of Sweet Honey and the Rock. What could be greater than that? And finally, our third event that we're promoting is Sonia Cohen-Kramer is going to be live in person on the 23rd at the Washington Ethical Society. Tickets are available. An evening of music and folk songs. This is going to be amazing. You know, again, I need that transporter machine. So that's Sunday, June 23rd. Please do everything you can, my friends, to support live music events, because this is great. And nothing beats mixing our molecules together, as Elise so eloquently said, if you can support live music in person, okay? So thanks for being with us. It's always my pleasure. Look forward to singing for you guys again. I got a couple things cooked up. Joe and I will work on that. And again, a big thank you with jazz hands to Elise Bryant for her beautiful presence with us today.
My honor and pleasure.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Elise, and thank you, David. I'm going to just make one small correction. And so, David, no worries about this because I threw a lot of announcements to you at the end. But that CD released by Folkways is actually posthumous. Sonia Cohen-Kramer is no longer with us. So it's actually Elizabeth Mitchell and Daniel Littleton who sing with her on the CD and who will be in concert. And that CD is also sprinkled with a lot of members of the Seeger family. Sonia was a Seeger. And so the CD is incredible. And the event is in the DMV area on Sunday night, but we are figuring out how we're going to record it to make it available to all of you who are elsewhere in the universe. So stay tuned. We'll put that, of course, into our e-newsletter. For anybody who's new today, please join our e-newsletter, and I'm going to pop it back to David for the goodbyes. Thanks again, Elise Bryant, for such magical singing, and David Roth for great hosting today. Lots of love to both of you.
You did tell me that, Joe. It was a posthumous celebration and honoring her. So,
No worries. No worries.
yeah, mea culpa. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I want to say my goodbyes now. I want to thank Bryn for great technical support. Bryn is on the newer side.
Yay!
Boy, smooth as silk, Bryn. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope this is the sign of many more times to come. Thank you, Elise. Thank you, JoJo. Thanks, Susan in Cincinnati. Deborah in Kentucky throwing us some love. Luda in Victoria. Many people I see every day, every time I'm able to join. That's great. Kathleen in Albuquerque. Carolyn in Boise. Sarah in Texas. Sue Miller in Seattle, my former home. Bonnie in Boise. Idaho, still well represented. Ian Blackwell in Montreal. Bienvenue, mon ami. Amanda and Miles in Michigan. Ruth in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Sarah in Devon, England, 2 in a row. Antonina in California. I saw you singing along there. Karen in Oregon. Sandy in Silver Springs. Bob in Albany. See you in December, Bob. September, excuse me. Caroline in D.C. Julie Alexander in Ontario. Emily Glazer, nice to have you with us. Anne in Nashville, throwing us another heart. Dan Walker, good day to you, sir, in Vienna, Virginia. Annette, there you are. Nice to see you, Annette. Still owe you a song, I think. Athena in Brooklyn. Jane in Maryland. Phil, Pauline, and William, greetings to you. Now, let's see. And then we got Linda on Orcas Island, one of the most beautiful places in the world. Jamie and Victoria. See you, Jamie. Deli in Maryland. Nice to have you again. Fred, pleasure always. Benet in Berkeley, California. Storm in Western Massachusetts. Great to see you, my friend. Anne in Silver Spring. Gary Posner in Massachusetts. Maureen in Edmonton. Go Oilers. Let's see. Janet. Janet, don't know where you're from, but glad to have you with us. Sarah Hardigan, nice to see you again, Sarah. Kat Cox in Vermont. Jane in Texas, still live on camera. Let's see. Skiing. Nancy in Washington State. LMG in Connecticut. Carol J in Connecticut. Priscilla, nice to see you. Your dog there. It looks like your dog is peeking over in that picture. Diane in Massachusetts. Thanks for being with us. Aloysius in Massachusetts. Okay, Massachusetts coming on strong at the end here. Janet, hope I got all of you. And for those I didn't get to say goodbye to, my omission, not your lack of presence. Day 1537 tomorrow, 12 o'clock sharp. As always, free. And I'm sure donations are always accepted, but the main point is to get together and share our molecules such as we can. So blessings all. Thanks again. We'll say goodbye to the live stream, and thanks to Carpe Diem Arts for this incredible lifelong community.
Yay!